Hi guys, in this one we're going to set up webhooks for Pact. Webhooks can be quite tricky, and as we covered before, there is a certain flow to a webhook. So if you go to my README and Pact.js example provider, you have webhooks over here. What happens is the consumer runs the Pact test, publishes it, but before they can do can I deploy check, the provider has to execute the tests. Only then they can do the can I deploy check. What happens in CI? Well, something has to trigger step number 3 over at the provider side. Webhooks allow that. Without that, you can't really have consumer-driven contract testing. So in this one, we're going to set up the webhooks, and we're just going to follow my notes about webhook setup. It's very tricky. There's so many ways to get it wrong, but using a few scripts, we'll be able to do it in a reasonable way. Okay. So for the webhook to test successfully, you must have executed pact tests at the consumer and the provider. And in this new fresh repo, I've done that. I actually have merged on the provider side, and on the consumer side, things are failing because it says I can't deploy yet. You can't deploy yet because there's no trigger. Um, that's first requirement. Then you must create a YAML with repository dispatch event at your provider. So you can just copy the file from this one. Bad link apparently. I'll update this one. So this is, I'll just go to duplicate. I'll update that one just so you have the right link. But it is here in this repo, GitHub and workflows and webhook. So you just copy this one. And here I'll do just that. Open this up. Okay. Close this, irrelevant. And the webhook YAML I will just copy. This is the consumer one. No. This has to go to the provider for this guy. It's your V09 test pact webhook setup. Yeah. Open this up. So you'll have the clean PR also. And you copy that webhook from over at the other example. Okay, and then we'll take a look at the file. So this is a webhook that runs when the consumer side publishes a pact. And here on the provider side, we trigger the provider test. You can name it however you want, but it's extremely important that you have a repository dispatch type event. The type will be contract requiring verification publish. Okay, some values that we have in the env files and the secrets, like usual, like payload URL, base URL, broker token. These are already in GitHub, available in GitHub. Some dumb values that we have are in our env file. If you want to remember what's in our env file, of course, I can't show you, but you can look at the example, right? You can see that the matching values are there. Okay, so we run, we check out. It's important that we have this if pact payload URL. It's going to allow us to be able to merge breaking changes more linearly when we need to. NVMRC file, you know about it. Setup node with NVM node version, you know about it. Some debugging in case things may go wrong. Just install, and then the test provider CI is basically whatever you're testing, you're executing to run provider tests over here. The only difference is that it's using start server and test to start the server and twisting. All right, so we have that. Now this will have to exist on main. There's no other way it's going to work otherwise. So we'll have to merge this. Okay, let me just pause, get that merged, and then we'll move on from there. But also while doing that, perhaps we can copy over these one-time scripts. I will put them under scripts folder, the one-time scripts, and we'll push it, let it cook. It add commit push online test pact webhook setup. So these scripts will be one-time use, and I will just let this run here, not here, not here. just provider. Oh, yep, right there, right there. Okay, we can see our pull request template already taking effect. We don't need a breaking change now. All right, now let's look at the files. So one of them is a script to create a GitHub issue with. So you'll update your repo, your username, your repo name, okay, your personal access token. You will grab this from GitHub. I've showed this before. You probably have it saved in a file. You'll grab it, and it's going to check if the GitHub token actually works. The credentials, the token is right, and goes a step further, tries to create an issue. So what I'll do is I'll make a copy of this. I'll call it whatever, one, and then I'll pause the video and I'll update these values, and we'll try to run this file. Let's see how we can do it. All right, I have the file with the proper values. I just updated these three. Now what we'll have to do is let's go to scripts and runtime scripts. We give a chmod to um, create GitHub issue test one. Okay, now it has execution permission, so we can just create GitHub issue test one. We can run it, see if it works. It looks like it did work, right? It went through, but we can go and verify. Okay, disregard this one. Is it okay? Go to issues for now. Test issue, and it created it, right? We can just close that. So we have handled that. We make sure that our GitHub token is okay. All right, let me just delete this file. The file has been deleted. Make sure you never check that in with your values in there. Now the second script is doing all the heavy lifting. So in the pre-setup, you have to ensure that you have Pact Broker working. Right? You will get it here at this link per your OS. Now if I have it working, so let me just go to right here and Pact Broker. And never mind what you see there, it's all outdated. It's been updated, so it doesn't know about this guy, right? It doesn't know about Pact Broker. Okay, fine. Then we'll do it from scratch. So I have Mac OS. Run this thing. I believe yeah, it's going to add some things here. Just you either git ignore it or just remove it later. Okay, and yeah, I did the tar file. So let's do Pact broker version again. Again, it doesn't know it because you may have to set the path. So with Z shell, this is what you would do. With fish, if I'm using fish, this is what you would do. You set the path, and then when you ask the version, it should give you something. So that way, you have ensured the pre-setup, step one. After that, ensure that your target provider repository has a YAML workflow file in the GitHub workflows. Okay, now I've added it, but what I need to do, since there's been no tests on the, no, close this one. I don't talk and think at the same time. At the moment this will fail because what we covered in a previous video. So for now, we'll relax things a little bit, okay? And then we will go back. Actually, you know what? I will just open right here. We have open. Nope, not there. I'll just open this guy. Go to up. Okay. We will. No, we don't want these tar files for sure. Make sure you don't. Not there. Well, we also have to deploy. Yeah. Okay. We'll just stash these for now. That's the stash not working. Okay. So let's deploy one first because we have to get the YAML file in. Right? That has to exist. So we have dispatches. Okay, for that to happen, then you have to check the breaking change on, and we have to just rerun this. and I have a alias for rerun. So this way we will ensure that we do have a webhook YAML. I'll let this cook and pause. Of course, now I removed the tar file. We'll have to get it again. And then we'll have to set the path again. And then try to make sure that Pact Webhook is working. Now I could have done it in the repo root, but then I have to navigate back here. That's fine. I mean, I only use Pact Broker here, and you should probably only use it when you're setting up the Pact. Okay, since it's a breaking Pact change, right? Well, it's going to require a branch with the same name over on the other side, but we don't have it and we don't really want it. So it's chicken and egg situation. So in this case, just to get this YAML file in, it's okay to merge it. And I believe things should be kosher in the next one. But yeah, this should be fine if you just merge it in. And we should have added this webhook YAML before. It doesn't even execute. But we didn't. That's fine. Now we have it in. So what this will allow us to do, okay, what this will allow us to do is now run this script over here. Okay, I'll have to git pull. Okay, now we have Pact Broker still. Yes, we have it. Now if we go through the script, right, we have handled the two prerequisites. What we'll have to do, and we'll never check those in, but what we'll have to do is make a copy of this with the real values. I'll call it blah blah one. I'll go ahead and update these. Now I went ahead and updated, I made a copy and updated all these values for the script that I'm going to execute. We have Pact Broker here, so we give it execution permission. It will be named create Pact Webhook 1, and then we're simply going to run it. Create Pact Webhook 1. Okay, so what's going to happen is going to output what it can output, and then it's going to make sure that we can access the Pact Broker. So whatever base URL we have is okay with that token. So this is something that may go wrong most of the time. If it is accessible, it lets us through, and then it checks if GitHub dispatch endpoint is accessible. So meaning you have to have a map this YAML file, the webhook YAML file with a certain type. It's going to look for that contract requiring verification published. And if it's unable to access it, it's going to let us know. If you have that YAML file there, all good. And then finally, it's going to try to create a webhook with some default settings. So, right, see, and then it says it created. So this is very difficult to do, but you have to, if you get all these rights, like if you do the pre-setup of Pact Broker, getting that installed. If you create the webhook YAML, and then if you make sure your GitHub issue, your GitHub personal access token, this GitHub token is working, you can create an issue. You basically can run that test. And then you ensure that you can access the Pact Broker. And then you do have a dispatch endpoint, meaning at the provider side, you have this webhook file with types, contract requiring verification published. You have that. Only then you can create a webhook. So there are infinite ways this goes wrong, but once you get everything right and come all the way to the end of the script, yes, it will work. The only thing you have to make sure is your personal access token is going to be at the secrets. You're going to name it GitHub token. I'm just going to add it here. It's going to exist. This is the only requirement. On that, you know that we are getting the API tokens in our EMD files and CI from over here. So now if we go and look at the